In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about one of the most critical elements of our lawn care season and the key to keeping our grass green all year long, and that's watering. Let's get out of the weeds. So as I've said before, with cool season grass, whenever we're in the spring, everybody's lawn looks very similar. Yours may look just the same as your neighbor who doesn't even take care of their lawn. And so there's not a lot to differentiate yards in the spring. But now, as we start to get further into the year and the temperatures start rising, you're really going to start noticing a big difference between lawns. And one of the most critical elements of that is going to be lawn watering. So first off, typically our lawns are going to need somewhere between an inch to an inch and a half of water every single week. Now in the spring, we get a lot more help from Mother Nature by getting a lot of those spring showers. On top of that, coupled with the cooler temperatures. But what happens as we get into the season, the temperatures start rising, and then you can go sometimes a couple, 2 or 3 weeks without getting any rain. And this can be very, very stressful to the lawn and cause us to go into what we call summer dormancy. So now when we talk about an adequate watering of your lawn, what I don't want you to get into is watering your lawn just every single day for a little bit at a time. That is not what we want. And what you want to do is every time you water your lawn with your sprinklers is I want you to let it soak in. You want to go a nice deep watering. And so what you want to shoot for every time you water your lawn is somewhere around a ½ inch of water each time. And so if you kind of factor that out, you're going to typically put down 2 to 3 applications of watering every single week on your lawn, and that'll get you right in between that 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water. Now this can obviously be cut back if you get kind of a heavy rain period where you're getting a few days of rain, then you might not have to even water at all that week, or you may just be able to cut it down to 1. But typically, if I have a whole week where I'm not going to really be getting any rain help at all, I'm going to water my lawn about 3 times that week, getting down that ½ inch of water every single time. The reason this is because the grass roots are going to chase the water. So you don't want to just water real quick and shallow, because it's going to encourage your roots to stay shallow. You want to do the less amount of days watering, but do longer, deeper waterings so that you get that water down deep and encourage the roots to dive down deep with them, therefore resulting in stronger, healthier grass. So now I want to get into how do you get down a ½ inch of water every single time. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to simply use a rain gauge. And so you can see here it has the amounts listed there, and so you can easily and accurately measure how much water your lawn is getting. What I typically do is I have a little rain gauge here, and then I have like this is a little applesauce container, and I have some tuna cans that I have marked out at a ½ inch on the can. And so you can see the little red mark there. In the tuna can, you have the little green marker there. And so I typically do, when I'm trying to gauge how long I need to let my sprinklers run, I'll go and I will sit all these different cans and everything out into the lawn, and I will run my sprinkler for 15 minutes. And then after that 15 minutes, I will walk around to each one of these and see how high the water is, therefore trying to gauge on how much time I need to run my sprinklers to get that ½ inch of water. Okay, so here is my front yard. So this would be just like a typical area that you may need to water at your house. And so kind of how I have this set up is I have one right there. If I look right over here, I have one set up there. I have one set up right there in the middle. As we walk over here, I have one set up there, and I have kind of one set up in the back. Now the reason that you don't want to just do one container just sitting in the area is because it might not give you a clear picture of what you're getting kind of throughout the whole zone that you're watering. So I like to have 4 or 5 different containers so that I can just kind of sit around, so that way I can look and see, oh, do I need to make any adjustments, because some areas might be getting a little bit too much water while others aren't getting watered enough. So this gives you a better picture. So now, as I'm waiting for the 15 minutes to get up, I want to talk briefly about those of you who don't have an irrigation system. You can do this same thing. You're not setting a controller to the 15 minutes, just time it up. Put your sprinkler out in the area you want to water, set your watch for 15 minutes, or put a timer on your phone for 15 minutes, and then you're essentially doing the exact same thing. When it comes to cool season grass, it typically begins to start getting stressed out at temperatures around 85 and above. Anything below that, the grass can typically do pretty good. If you start to get sustained temperatures above 85 degrees for multiple days in a row, your grass is going to struggle really, no matter how much water you're putting down on it. And so you may be following, hey, I'm getting down a ½ inch 3 times a week, and the lawn is still wanting to go dormant on me. I'm still starting to see that grayish color, and some spots are starting to go brown. This is very typical because you're trying to keep your grass green when the grass is feeling all that heat and it wants to check out and go away and just go dormant for a little bit until the temperatures come down and it's safe for it to come out again. And so it really starts to feel that heat. Now, if you're someone who's adamant about keeping your lawn green even through high heat situations, you may actually have to water your lawn a little bit beyond what I typically say, the 2 to 3 times a week. You may get to the point to where just in a day, you can look out, man, it's an extra hot day today, and you see some spots that are starting to struggle. You're starting to see that grayish looking color. You can go and just kind of do a little bit of watering that way, throw in a little bit of extra water, or fit in an extra watering sometime throughout the week. Do something to try to cool the grass down and try to help it out. But it's just something we're all going to go through with cool season grass. Now, if you're somebody who's like, I don't know if I want to put all this time in, I don't know if I want to keep track of a sprinkler, do all this stuff, is it going to hurt my lawn? No. Typically your lawn's going to be fine if you don't water it at all throughout the summer. It will just go brown, it'll just go completely dormant, and then whenever we get into the fall, what you want to do is you want to try to help kick your lawn back into gear and get it green again. It'll come back green again naturally. But if you've let your lawn go dormant this year, when we get into the fall and temperatures start dropping, you want to start to try watering it back and let it know, like, oh, it's got a lot of water, temperatures are down a little bit, and it'll help get it out of dormancy a little bit quicker. Another good tip to keep in mind whenever you're watering is that it's typically best to water early in the morning. That way, typically the wind is down, and so your sprinklers aren't getting blown around and missing the target. And so this can happen if it's a really windy day. And so typically early in the morning, first thing in the morning, is typically going to be your best time. Now, you can do it in the evening. The one thing I would watch is doing it too late, because you don't want the lawn to just stay wet all throughout the night and never dry out, because this too can encourage lawn disease. So the system just finished running for 15 minutes, and so I have in front of me all the collected cans that I have here. And so you can see right off the bat here on this rain gauge, it's easy to see, I ended up getting just under a ½ inch. And so barely just under. And so right there, that tells me I'm not far off from this one. And now this one was actually stationed in the middle of the lawn. And so it was actually getting hit by, like, almost all 4 sprinklers were getting it a little bit. And so this one got a lot of water. Now, if you compare that to some of these other ones, so you see this one, this was in the front corner. You can see it's there, but man, it's nowhere near getting that ½ inch of water. It's got some in there, but it's not that close. And so looking at this one here, it's just under halfway. And so that 15 minutes almost needs doubled for that area to get to. Where now, as I look at this one here, also almost the same thing. It's just there right at about halfway. And then lastly, my container here, this was the back one, real close by on one of the sprinklers, and you can see it's almost at a 1/2 inch there. And so there is a slight discrepancy between some of them, but you can see for most of them, they're just about halfway through. So what I'll do typically for that is I may need to make some sprinkler adjustments to try to get some of the other ones more full within the time. But as a kind of general average, it looks like for me, if I would just double the 15 minutes and go to 30 minutes, I'm going to be right there in that range of getting a 1/2 inch of water across the entire zone. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time when we get out of the weeds into a beautiful lawn.